What if a part of us never truly grows up? A part that refuses to conform, that keeps dreaming, hoping, and escaping. Carl Jung called it the puer aeternus, the eternal boy. He lives in stories like Peter Pan, who flies above the grown-up world, never growing old, never giving in to responsibility. Jung believed the eternal boy archetype lives in all of us. He represents possibility, freedom, imagination, but also the danger of staying too long in a dream. In ancient Greece, there was a man deeply devoted to studying the stars. Every night he would gaze up at the heavens, mapping the movement of celestial bodies, lost in the beauty of the cosmos. One evening, as he walked through the countryside with his eyes fixed firmly on the sky, he failed to notice the ground beneath his feet. Suddenly, splash! He fell straight into a well. A passing maid, seeing what had happened, burst into laughter. She said, "You look to the sky to understand what's above, but you don't even see what's right in front of you." The word human comes from the Latin humus, meaning earth or soil. We were never meant to live only in the sky. We were meant to root. The eternal boy dreams big, but often forgets the ground beneath his feet. He longs for love, but not the kind that takes root. He dreams of passion, beauty, and connection. But when love asks for commitment, for presence, for staying, he starts to drift. He imagines, he hopes, he escapes. But here's the danger. Living only in dreams means falling into the wells of real life. The eternal boy often resists the world, not because he's evil, but because he feels too much. He sees the phoniness, the hypocrisy, the lifeless rules of the adult world, and he says, "I don't want to become that." Like Holden Caulfield in The Catcher in the Rye, he wants to protect innocence, to stand in the rye field and catch children before they fall into the grown-up abyss. But beneath the anger, there's fear. A fear that growing up means becoming fake, that maturity means selling out. And so the eternal boy defines himself by what he's against. He needs something to reject, a system, a parent, a rule, because without a fight, he feels invisible. He hasn't yet learned that real strength isn't just resistance, it's integration. The eternal boy often avoids looking back. He'd rather live in the now, or escape into dreams, where things are beautiful and untouched. He tells himself the past is over, that it doesn't matter anymore, but the pain is still there, shaping his choices, his fears, his patterns, silently. The eternal boy dreams of love, but struggles when love asks for roots. He wants connection, but flinches when it asks for presence. He's drawn to beauty, but not always to responsibility. He hides behind "I'm fine," avoids conflict, and hopes to be magically understood. He fears being ordinary and quietly believes that one day he'll be transformed forever. But life doesn't work that way, and neither does love. Growth begins when the eternal boy looks back, not to blame, but to understand. He realizes that his patterns weren't just personal. They were inherited, shaped by stories, wounds, and survival. And then comes the hardest part. He begins to root. As Jung said, the eternal boy can only grow by coming down to earth, by doing the hard, mundane things he used to avoid, taking responsibility, committing to daily effort, even doing work he doesn't love, simply because it builds structure and strength. Real growth begins not with resistance, but with stillness. When he finally stops running, turns inward with compassion, and whispers, "The confusion I carry today has roots in the pain I once endured." It's not about blaming the past, it's about making peace with it, about returning gently to the places where he felt invisible and seeing them now with wiser eyes. André Gide once said, "Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore." To help the eternal boy grow, we don't kill his dreams. We teach him to bring them down into action, into relationships, into life. So what does that look like? It looks like moving from escape to embodiment, From fantasy to creation, from self-focus to connection, from scattered identity to rooted selfhood, from chasing moments to building a meaningful life. He no longer sees responsibility as a trap or commitment as a loss of freedom. He begins to recognize it as the soil in which the self can truly grow. Willing to build lasting relationships instead of chasing romantic fantasies, starts caring for others and contributing to the real world, finds a sense of groundedness in work, family, or creative purpose. He doesn't give up dreaming, but now he uses his hands to build the dream. Creativity becomes a force for action, not just a way to escape. Ideals are translated into projects, work, relationships, or change. No longer waits for the perfect time. He starts from where he is. He moves beyond what do I want to do and starts asking, how can I serve, connect, and grow with others? Able to see from another's point of view. In relationships, no longer the boy who needs to be adored, but the adult who can handle friction. Willing to face conflict and uncertainty instead of running from them, he no longer defines himself through roles, fantasies, or external validation. He begins to know, this is who I am, even in silence, even in shadow. Life is no longer a stopover or an endless transition. It becomes soil, where things are planted, nurtured, and grown over time. In literature and film, this evolution often takes the form of a quest. A character leaves behind the world he knows, faces trials, and matures through the process. Think of Jim Hawkins from Treasure Island or Frodo from The Lord of the Rings. Even Shakespeare, perhaps the greatest storyteller of all, began his journey under the shadow of the eternal boy. In his early life and works, we see the hallmark traits of the pure Eternus: restless creativity, romantic longing, sharp wit, rebellion against order. His comedies sparkle with youthful desire, clever disguises, escapes from responsibility. Love is wild, identity is fluid, endings are joyful and light. But as life deepened, so did his art. Gradually, a shift appears. Tragedies like Hamlet, Othello, and King Lear reveal a man confronting the pain of power, betrayal, mortality, and the weight of choice. Themes of loss, sacrifice, and the cost of ambition emerge. Signals of a growing soul learning to integrate shadow and light. And then came his final solo work. In The Tempest, Shakespeare gives us Prospero. By the end of the play, he breaks his staff, drowns his book, and chooses to forgive. He returns to the world no longer as a dreamer in hiding, but as a man ready to live with others in full presence. Many scholars see The Tempest as Shakespeare's farewell not only to the stage, but to the eternal boy within himself. He doesn't kill the dreamer. He matures him. He brings the magic back to earth. And maybe that is the ultimate transformation. Not to stop dreaming, but to dream with both feet on the ground. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who's still finding their way. And if you'd like to explore more stories of growth and self-discovery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay curious.